Before I get into this video, I want to point out one thing, and that is that all of the information in this video will be from 2nd edition. That is because after the faction war, the believers of the source dissolved and merged with this sign of the One into a new faction called the Mind's Eye. 5th edition assumes the faction war to be canon, for the most part, and so the believers of the source do not exist outside of 2nd edition. Anyways, on to the video. The believers of the source, also known as the Godsmen, believe that everything is godly. All things can ascend to greater glory given enough time and patience. Everyone is being tested. Primes, petitioners, planars, the gods. If you succeed in your test, you're reincarnated as the next step up. Death is never the end of things, only the next step, unless you failed, in which case you go back a step. Eventually, you can ascend to godhood, but even that is not the end of the cycle. There is something higher that the gods themselves are trying to attain. Cross that threshold to the ultimate form and leave the multiverse behind forever. Eventually, every single being in the multiverse will have ascended to this final form, and no one will be left. This is when the multiverse ends. The Godsmen believe that this is the whole point of the multiverse. The whole thing exists to test and purge. It's just a matter of figuring out what's being tested and how. Are you supposed to be good, evil, neutral? No one knows, and it's what the believers of the source are trying to figure out. Once they learn that, they can hasten the end of the multiverse and get on with the new existence. Factol Ambar Vergrove of the Believers of the Source says this in Destiny of Being, a treatise in 3 volumes, quote, "Yet a profound mystery remains concerning the form manifested by a being who reaches the top rung of the ladder of the multiverse and steps off it to some sublime existence beyond. Is his body fashioned so finely that we lesser kindred cannot even perceive it? Or might it be that formlessness itself is the measure of the Ascended One's triumph? This, as all other knowledge, we will learn in time." End quote. Godsmen tend to be very extroverted, and most join the cause to help others evolve and see their own potential. They hate it when people act apathetic or resigned towards the multiverse. They'll tolerate the selfish and wicked, but not those who lack interest in self-improvement. They love to help others, but they're strong believers in learning from your mistakes and won't interfere in life lessons. They believe these lessons of the multiverse act as a forge, transforming people into better versions of themselves. Some Godsmen believe that certain people have more potential than others, but this perspective of inequality doesn't seem to be the main belief or one that the current Factol agrees with. Their primary plane of influence is the ethereal plane. The demi-planes within the ethereal are created by powerful wizards. This ability to create your own world is proof of their philosophy, that everything is capable of ascending to greater glory. Like the Athar, the believers of the source have no official role in the government, but they take it upon themselves to maintain peace. Since everyone could be divine, they don't want any of those potential gods to wind up in the dead book, so they consider it their sacred duty to keep peace between warring faiths, and they'll use swords to do it if they must. You can expect fair treatment from the believers, unless you prove to them you are no power in the making. The believers of the source oftentimes find themselves aligned with the Athar, since they both believe there is something more powerful than the gods. The belief that the multiverse has an inevitable demise sits well with the Doomguard. However, any alliance with them is always temporary. Both the Bleak Cabal and Dustmen take exception to their philosophy and are considered enemies. Eligibility. Due to their belief in the divine potential of every being, Godsmen are open to all races, classes, and alignments. Benefits. Since they believe all things have potential, they are generally well received within the planes. They gain a +2 bonus to all encounter reactions with planar beings. Restrictions. Since they believe gods are not the final form, but just another entity being tested, and there exists a greater form beyond them, priests suffer a -1 penalty on all saving throws because of their lack of faith in their god. Godsmen cannot be raised or resurrected by any means, but they can be automatically reincarnated as a player character race of the DM's choice. The Factol of the Believers of the Source is Factol Ambar Vergrove. a neutral good male half-elf planar and 19th level ranger. He was born to an elf woman who was exiled from her clan because she did not follow their stiff formality. She liked to sing, dance, laugh, and play the harp, and they hated that. Unusual for a clan of elves. She went to live in the wilderness of the Outlands. Eventually, Ambar wooed a woman from his mother's clan, and she moved to live with him in the wilderness. They had a child and lived happily until warriors from the clan showed up, killed his mom, wife, and son, and took him prisoner. They accused him of abduction, but he convinced them they were wrong in their ways, stating, quote, I accuse you, murderer of my mother, slayer of my consort and unborn child. I accuse you of killing my happiness, of defiling my home, and robbing me of my future. Dare you deny me? Dare you demand recompense in the face of that which you owe me? They did not deny him, and to assuage their guilt, gave him a silk casket of precious gems and told him to leave and never come back. Ambar went on to guide travelers through the Outlands, invest in profitable ventures, and search the Great Ring for a place to call home. Eventually, he fell in with the believers of the Source and discovered that, even though no place could feel like home again, a group of people could. He was extremely kind and polite and earned many friends among the Godsmen, eventually becoming the Factol. He is beloved by all in the faction, most of them believing he is close to becoming a power. His goal is for the faction and members to flourish, and he values individuals more than the philosophies they adhere to. During the faction war, Factol Ambar was banished to the mazes, and I could find no reference to him in 5th edition. Hierarchy. People who are interested in the faction are sent to work in the foundry. If the backbreaking labor doesn't make them want to leave, these namers can acquire more involvement in the faction by asking an experienced member to sponsor them. Namers serve as apprentices to these mentors, learning the rigors of the believer's philosophy. When a mentor believes the namer is ready for a factotum's responsibility, to seek the inherent worth in all, he presents the namer to a factor for evaluation. They then go through a series of tests designed to probe his fears and limitations, to judge their malleability in the multiverse's forge. When a factotum seeks to advance to factor, a similar test is administered in Ambar's palace. History. Founded by Perrine, a Mangrel hurler and philosopher. Now, if you're wondering what a Mangrel hurler is, I have absolutely no idea. I have searched dozens of pages of Google, which is about as extensive as one can be, for the word Mangrel, M-A-N-G-R-E-L, and I found absolutely nothing. Literally nothing. Even when I tried to limit the searches specifically to Dungeons & Dragons related stuff to see if it was something specific to the D&D universe, I could find absolutely nothing on this. I have no idea what it is. However, based on the descriptions from this text, he's described as a Mangrel hurler, and it's described as some sort of sport or pursuit of athleticism. So I'm assuming it's something like shot put, right? Where you like see how far you can throw like a heavy thing. But I can't find this word anywhere. I have no idea where it came from. Maybe it's some sort of error on the PDF document I got. I don't know, but yeah, anyway, he's a Mangrel hurler and philosopher. His success in Mangrel throwing and less athletic pursuits were directly from his previous decisions and actions, his ability to prepare adequately. He founded a society of other people who thought similarly and formed the Godsman's core belief. Existence is a forge that shapes us. He also founded a lifestyle called sequel observance, where you pay strict attention to the consequences of every action you take so you can figure out the way to produce only good results in the future. The idea is learning from experience, and the tool is the ability to reason clearly. During the Great Upheaval, a woman named Augie was the one who cemented the society as one of the 15 factions. Augie had been reincarnated 1,000 times and could remember her past lives. She said each was built on the last, going up or down the ladder of existence depending on her choices. She even remembered her first incarnation and the glory before it, saying that light poured through my essence like water. She also wrote, quote, "Singing pounded me in ocean waves, without sight, without hearing. I perceived the radiance and the music. Such was my source, the origin from which all lives spring." End quote. She introduced many ideas to Perrine's society. that intuition is usually a past life attempting to get something across, the benefits of peering back beyond a body's own memories, and evolve enough and one becomes a god. Augie also gave the society the name, the Believers of the Source. Under her rule as Factol, the society collected biographies and interviewed anyone with memories of a past life, trying to understand why the multiverse inflicts tests. A mathematician and musician named Luce sparked the next idea of the Godsman. Luce said every moment in time and space had a unique resonance. It was beyond hearing range, but could be transposed down several octaves for mortals to listen to. This music of the multiverse could tell you which way you're moving on the ladder toward godhood, up or down. During this time period, Empyrean harmonies became all the rage in Sigil, and many faction members abandoned their research at the Foundry to focus on cultivating the sensitivity to hear this music. Their headquarters is the Great Foundry, a giant mass of metalworks nestled in a semicircle of stacks, spitting ash and soot on nearby buildings. Located in the heart of the lower ward, it is a dirty, sprawling complex of workshops, warehouses, storage yards, and furnaces. Here, the Godsmen produce petty metal goods that everyone needs: tools, hinges, pots, nails, and anything else that can be made from metal. The quality isn't great. None of their goods are fancy, but they are sturdy and serviceable. The streets surrounding the forge are a jumble of workshops and workers' taverns, all covered in the grime that laborers track in after a hard day's work. Drinking and deal-making, especially deals between men and fiends, are the two main businesses in this part of the hive. In addition to producing metal goods, they also extract and study what they call dead memories. They'll pay people who have memories of their past lives to come to the forge and let them pull these memories straight out of their mind to study. Apparently, it isn't a very pleasant experience to relive all those thoughts, and most people say it isn't worth the gold. That's all from 2nd edition. The description for 5th edition is the exact same, with the added detail that the center tower is made of mithril. After the faction war, the Believers left Sigil, and the Foundry was run by a group of Bladelings, which are creatures from Acheron. In 5th edition, the Mind's Eye runs the Great Foundry and uses it as their headquarters just like the Believers did. Now, in addition to their headquarters, there are two other important locations for the Godsmen. The first location is Ambar's Palace. This is an extravagant, fancy complex with many wings located on an island in the deep ethereal. It's described as a study in perpendicular Gothic, executed in polished steel instead of stone. It has intricate vaulting, stained glass windows, gilt furniture, vases overflowing with flowers. Its palatial courtyards consist of marble terraces, lily-ornamented reflecting pools, and rose-grown arbors. High-ups in the faction hold conferences and issue orders to factotums here, and all members of the faction are allowed to take trips here. One permanent portal to Ambar's Palace lies in the metalworks of the Great Foundry, and the other in the wireworks. Now, in addition to these locations, you also have the faction's Safehouses. Rather than locations, though, Godsmen rely on networks of people for help. An innkeeper there, a farm wife here, a loyal monk, a castle guard, etc. A place might fail you, but friends won't. In conclusion, the Believers of the Source believe that the multiverse exists to test and purge. Everything is a test, and eventually all will ascend to some superior form, a form that is beyond even the gods, and that no one can comprehend yet. When all beings have left for this greater glory, the multiverse will end. We are all capable of being gods, greater than the gods. It's just a matter of passing your tests. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and remember to subscribe for more D&D lore. I should have a video on the Sign of the One out shortly.